Let's create a pivotal impact.
Hey everybody, Josh Hannaberry here. Welcome to the first official recap episode where I'm going to dive through just the various independent industry leaders that joined the podcast in January 2022. And first off, January, honestly, it's an exciting month. There's lots of optimism on goals. There's lots of effort in planning. And just because we're at the end of January does not mean that we need this planning to stop. We actually need to continue to plan and execute, because ultimately 2022 is going to be a good year. I strongly believe that. I believe that 2022 is a year where challenges will be overcome. And I think what we're experiencing now will lead to just different opportunities for us to, really just appreciate and enjoy. And I wouldn't say take advantage of, but to really pursue. And I just encourage you as we enter February 2022 that you keep your positive thinking on, you keep the fact that things are possible mindset, and you just approach every day with that focus. And just a huge shout out to our industry leaders that showed up for us here in January. I'm excited to talk about a few different episodes that we were able to do. And a big shout out to our sponsor, ComplianceBox. So Truck Focus Podcast is supported by ComplianceBox. ComplianceBox is a tool made by a National Safety Code Auditor that makes generating and tracking important National Safety Code documents in an easy, effective, and efficient way. So I highly recommend visiting ComplianceBox.ca to start your free trial today. Incredible program, incredible people. So shout out to Chris. Just super grateful just for your sponsorship and your support in this journey as we do create a pivotal impact in the lives of so many people in the transportation industry. So thank you again. So Truck Focus Podcast. The entire mission, it's really simple. I want to connect as many industry leaders to industry as I can to help create a pivotal impact. So what that means is pivotal impact, I define it as you need to go somewhere in life. You need to go left or right, and someone gives you guidance and you take their guidance and say you went right and that was the right decision. That's a pivotal impact. And there's so many different industry leaders out there that do a phenomenal job every single day solving problems, helping people, creating solutions, challenging the status quo, and it falls on deaf ears, or it doesn't go anywhere, or no one even knows that the conversation are taking place. So that's the ultimate goal of the podcast. And by doing so, I strongly believe together, so a collective effort, our industry is that much better. And I'm just super grateful for the leaders that stepped up in January, for the fact that the podcast is, we just are into pre-recording into episode 80s, which is super exciting. And I'm just super grateful. So first time ever checking out a Truck Focus podcast, I really want to welcome you to our community. I really want you just to feel like, man, I belong here. And if that's from a social media standpoint, if that's an audio standpoint, a video standpoint, you're welcome in our community. And I'm just super grateful that you're joining. If this is the 100th time or the 10th time or second time, you're a repeat listener, I also welcome you. And I say thank you so much just for your dedication to just our mission. And I really value your time. I really value the fact that you're investing your time, listening to our platforms, learning from our leaders, listening to me ramble on sometimes about the most passionate things, but ultimately I'm super grateful. So thank you so much for your investment of time. I do ask you to subscribe to the channel that you're listening on. So if you're on any major podcast platform or YouTube, I ask you to subscribe, like this episode, share it out, because this is the first of many recap episodes where the ultimate goal will start monthly. And then if it's something that I feel is just attainable, then I absolutely want to get to a point where it's weekly. And we're talking about things, obviously, that from a perspective of the episodes that we did, but I want to give a recap on the month. I want to give a recap on the week. And I want to talk about things like mindset and outlook and optimism and overcoming stress, or overcoming limiting beliefs, overcoming imposter syndromes. There's so many different things that, in a sense, are against us that I want to start speaking about. And ultimately, it's to better our industry. And I'm just super grateful for the opportunity. So, just again, welcome. And so episode 67 was recorded earlier in, it went live earlier in January. And his name, the leader that joined us, Allan Anastacio. So he's the head of sales and operations for tractortrailer.com. And throughout the conversation, we really dove into what's the benefits of buying a commercial vehicle online. How does TTT, so the platform tractortrailer.com, what are the benefits? And he really walked us through the fact that they leveled the playing field. So under normal circumstances, major fleets, they could go buy, say it's 200, 300, 400 tractors from a manufacturer. They deal with one independent salesperson, and lo and behold, they all show up. They're getting the cream of the crop. That's excellent. I highly support that. But what if you're an independent owner operator looking to buy your second truck, or you're trying to buy a replacement truck? You're buying your first truck. You need to buy 10 trucks to expand. That's what Allan was talking about. Leveling the playing field is you're giving an opportunity coast to coast. So they are stateside, but they're also in Canada. And you have the opportunity to buy safe, secure because of their partners. A commercial vehicle that you pick, you get all of the maintenance records, you can do financing through the platform, you can get insurances through the platform. Phenomenal solution. So it's really fun just diving into what the platform is now, but where's it going? And just, I call it living in the future, where it's like, yes, this is where our industry is going. So I applaud you, Allan. I applaud you, John, just for the platform that you've helped oversee as it's getting built as the CEO. Really great work. So that was episode 67. So highly recommend that you dive through that episode. And if you're in the position where you're like, hey, you know what, this is an opportunity maybe for myself, and you're somewhere in Washington and you want to buy something that's in New York, figuring it out. You got the game plan, you got the structure. It's incredible. Episode 68, Tyler Boyd. So Tyler is the president and CEO of Bowline Logistics. And his story, honestly, it's so inspiring. But it's also really interesting when you hear about the highs and the lows. But the biggest thing that really stood out was how much Tyler really values people. So one of the things that I really noticed about Tyler on social media, on LinkedIn, is he's constantly uplifting his professional drivers. And he's just the same when you have a one-on-one conversation. It was really encouraging because it really resonates with my outlook on professional drivers. We're going to uplift the position. We're going to give them the tools to succeed. And he's a really people first focused person. So his entire team is really people first. They're all about just, how can we better our industry by serving people? And it's really nice to see the dividends that they're paying. So highly recommend that you also check out Tyler. If you need anything on a flat deck called anywhere in North America, I highly recommend doing business with Tyler and Bowline Logistics. Just super good people. So of course, all of the links are in the show notes. So make sure you check them out. And just, shout out to Tyler, super good guy. Episode 69, a gal, honestly, a superstar, Angela Thomas. And she's just in the Caribou region here, in Canada, British Columbia, next door to me. And we really talked about her fascinating journey. So she started in the industry basically in diapers, and her family, her dad's a professional driver, and so many people in her community are professional drivers. So basically the term, that's all you know, it's legit with Angela. And it was really cool just seeing her face light up when she's talking about stories and experiences. And then you could see it almost like a cringe when she's thinking about the different challenges she's overcome at first, and then smiling because she conquered them. It was really cool to see, and just hearing her story first as an over-the-road professional, but then she also has a super deep desire that she wants to help our industry. She wants to help people, which I think is super fascinating. So it was really great to see that she was able to do so by becoming a certified trainer for MELT, so mandatory entry-level training. Just came into effect in the BC back in fall 2021. And it's just hearing her speak about the fact that she's able to take all of these years of experience and really train people to be really successful in the industry. Really, really encouraging, and just, again, a really great episode. So Angela, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on. That's episode 69. So of course, links are in the show notes. I highly recommend that you check it out, you listen, and just feel encouraged about what's possible. And I think that's something that Allan and Tyler and Angela really resonate in their story, as they're making things happen. Things are possible. I think that's super cool. And that's also what I love about I really appreciate about episode 70. So a gentleman named Don Taylor, an over-the-road professional, and the Mindful Trucker. So shout out to Mindful Trucker. And they hopped on the podcast to talk about Don. So picture this, Don, 35 plus year experience operating as a commercial vehicle, or as a professional driver, commercial vehicle and taxi. He's been all over North America. He's got so many cool stories. So what does he do? He writes a book. So his book, Stories from the Road. So it goes live early February. So the check out the blog article for this, all of the show or the links to purchase Don's book, Stories from the Road. They're all included. But hearing Don's story, but really hearing Don's perspective on safety, to me really stood out. So honestly, shout out to you, Don Taylor. Shout out to Big Freight just for really enabling a safe culture. And I think that's something our industry needs just to continue to really evolve in, is having a safe culture. No load is worth your life. Never, ever. And I really appreciate that Don speaks with that with such conviction. He lives it, and the carrier he works for, they're also in that state of mind. So I think that's super incredible. But again, listening to Don talking about his book, listening to the Mindful Trucker, his name's Dana, shout out to Dana, and Don talking about different journeys, hauling LCVs, and you're like, man, that is intense. So all in all, really great conversation. Highly recommend you check out episode 70. It's just worth your time. And again, thank you so much, Don, for being really honest and open about your journey. And I'm super excited to read your book. So this really good times ahead. So episode 73 was myself. And obviously, my name is Josh Hannaberry. And I really dive into the two things. So part of it's the acceptance of automation, but also integrating the right technologies for your business. So I dive in from a perspective of my experiences and where I quote unquote wish there was more integration of technology in place, because I see from a couple different perspectives. So I talk about the compliance perspective, I talk about the cost perspective, but also talk about the driver retention perspective. And ultimately, you got to pick the right technology. There's no getting away from technology in transportation and logistics. Like honestly, as we get deeper into 2022, it's only a matter of time until there's more and more and more options, more and more opportunities to plug this in, API this, do that. You got to pick the right tech. You got to have a goal in mind of, okay, where are we going? What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to simplify? And what's the cost savings? What's the operational benefits? What are my drivers going to say? What are my professional drivers going to say when I'm like, hey, we're going to do this from now on? And it takes these three things off your plate. You just have to push a button and sign electronically. So really focus on the right integrations and the right technologies. Really just have an open mind, though, to workflows and automations. So episode 3, that's what it's all about. Episode 4, shout out to my buddy Ben Stiller with National Truck League. Super hyped on a couple of things with our interview here. So 74 with Ben. Honestly, Ben, you're one of the most passionate dudes I've ever talked to. And I get so jacked, like I get to a point where I'm like shaking my head and I kind of get dizzy. And I'm like, oh man, this is so good, because he's just so passionate on people. And I think that's one of his best traits. And that's also helped him as a person, but also his family's business succeed for such a long period of time. Helping people in our industry really succeed is the fact that they're people driven. So honestly, Ben, great work, great conversation. So we dive into a little bit about insurance, talk a lot about Ben's story. It's just all in all a really great conversation in episode 74. Highly recommend that you check it out. Episode 75, also a really great conversation with a gentleman named Jason Thomas, who's a commercial and residential real estate agent with CIR Realty. So first off, shout out to my realtor who introduced me to Jason, Ryan Torres. So you're a champ. Highly recommend doing business with both of these gents. But yeah, Jason joins the podcast and really dive into industrial real estate. So we kept it specific to Calgary. Obviously, that's where we live. But we talked about the benefits of growing in the Calgary market. We talked about some of the the items that you need to be prepared for if you're looking to make a transition from, hey, I've been leasing for the last 5 years. My business is at max capacity. There's not enough parking here. Whatever your decisions are, what does it take to actually get into your own property? So we dive into that. Jason gives some solid advice when we're talking from a tax perspective to a preparation perspective to what are some reasons that you want your own place to call your own business, but also what are some things to look out for. So a great example is, say you're a warehouse distribution center and you need 53-foot flatbeds to come in with totes. Very simple example. You got to make sure, obviously, the property you're buying can accommodate the fact that you need a 53-foot trailer. Obviously, you still have your tractor with a bunk, I'm assuming, and you're going to offload these totes. So what's the ground condition? Do you need a secure fence? Is it a truck route entering your property? Is there a location for the professional driver to turn around safely so that way obviously nothing gets damaged? Like, there's all these things to think about, which we dive into. Honestly, shout out to Jason, such a knowledgeable guy, really people focused too, which I think is the highlight of the January episodes, because ultimately we're all in here to serve people. We're all in this game to really impact the industries that we serve, and they're all intertwined. That's something that I really care about. So ultimately, check out episode 75. Jason did a wonderful job just walking us through these processes. And again, I'm just super grateful for your time. And episode 77, this is episode 76, so that's why we're talking about it, which is cool. Episode 77. So I get, honestly, I'm so jacked, but I speak with Rita Smith. So she's the owner of Road Warrior News. And we talked about stress in the industry. And we kind of walked through, if you wanted to look at it as a scale, on a scale from 1 to 10, how stressed do we think the transportation industry is right now? In my honest opinion, is we're maxed. Like, there's so many different things coming at the industry that we need to take proactive steps to manage the stress, be very protective of our mental health, be very mindful of the things that we say. So Rita does an incredible job partially sharing her story. I thought that was so fascinating, but then walking us through some tangible steps that I can take, that you can take, that others can take, that really do help dissect the state of mind that our industry is in, as well as it helps get through it. And some of the best advice that Rita shared was, do not be a BMW. And no disrespect, obviously, to the BMW manufacturer, don't be a BMW person. And you need to check out episode 77 to hear what that means. And just, keep in mind that as we continue to navigate 2022, just because things are stressful, just because things are happening that are out of our control, there's still so many opportunities that we can gladly look forward to. There's so many opportunities of areas that we can just accomplish. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about the time that we're in, is the opportunity. Opportunity. Let's just feed our brains with, let's look for the opportunity. Where are the opportunities to solve this problem? Or, hey, there's no solution for this. Maybe this is my entrepreneurial moment, and we just go for it. There's lots of cool stuff that we need to keep in mind as we navigate through stressful times. So Rita, thank you again so much for hopping on. It was just great just to hear your passion, your stories, the laughing. It was really good. But again, check out episode 77 to learn why you do not want to be or be around BMWs. Just keep that in mind. So that's a recap for January 2022 from an episode perspective, but not from a mindset perspective. So maybe you thought, hey, Josh, you said you're going to talk about mindset. I'm glad you didn't. I'm going to get out of here now. So if you want to leave now, that's cool. You heard, I would say, some of the most important stuff I wanted to share today, but there's also the mindset outlook. And February is now. Like, we're literally entering February. This goes live January 31st, approximately 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're entering February. February is a key month, 28 days that we have the opportunity to really impact lives, to really improve our own lives. If it's from a work perspective, a family perspective, a health perspective, we have the opportunity. So I really encourage you, as this episode comes to a close, to think about, okay, I'm in January's ending. We're entering February. What's one thing that I want to accomplish in 28 days? Maybe it takes you 28 days. Maybe it takes you one and you need to come up with 27 more things. That's up to you. But what's at least one thing that you have to? You're telling yourself, no matter what, I have to accomplish this one thing. I have to improve in this one thing. I have to take this one step. What is it? And if it's something that you're comfortable sharing with myself, so that way we can celebrate you. If it's something that you need encouragement on, with help on, ask that you reach out. You can send me an email always at pvtlindustry@gmail.com. Shoot me a message on any social media platform. Honestly, contact me. What is the one thing that you're doing that you think, hey, this is what I have to get done, but I need some help on? I want to help. That's entirely what this mission is about, like I've said. So if it's not me as a person directly helping, maybe it's connecting you to one of our incredible industry leaders. Awesome. But reach out. But really, as we enter February and as we rock out in February, think about, okay, what is that one thing that I need to accomplish? And then give it all you got. And honestly, it's shocking. I love the quote. We underestimate what you can do in a year, you overestimate what you can do in a year. You underestimate what you can do in 5 to 10 years. So take it day by day. You got 28 days to make something incredible happen. What is it? Let me know. Reach out. And as always, just thank you again so much for checking out the podcast. So as I mentioned initially, if this is your first time ever checking out a Truck Focus podcast, I welcome you to our community. And I'm super grateful that you're taking the time to listen. For all of our dedicated listeners, I just continue to be so grateful for your investment of time. Honestly means the world. And just thank you again to all of our industry leaders. Honestly, January was a packed month, super exciting, and just really excited to see what happens in February. I will release another one of these episodes on February 28th and March 31st and so on. So stay tuned for another recap episode. And yeah, let's get to a point where we can do these weekly, and we'll dive more into just different specifics, mindset, performance, operational improvements, organizational improvements, all that good stuff. So again, thank you so much. I ask that you do like this episode, ask that you share it out, but most of all, subscribe. So 2 reasons why I always ask people to subscribe. The first reason, I love the term, the greater the following, the greater the impact. So it's not a vanity number. I don't care about that. It's the fact that I know when we're looking at our metrics, we're helping people. That's the most important thing. The second is when you subscribe, especially if the platforms have the notification bell, you're updated anytime we release new content. So you can expect something at least twice a week. We want to get to a point where we're doing more. So just that's what my ask is. Like, share it to people that need to hear this. Definitely check out our other episodes. And as always, let's create a pivotal impact. Bye for now.